Hello everyone, a little bit of a different video today. Today I'm talking about something that I've done IRL for the past 2 years, and now that I am wrapping it up and moving on to the next chapter of what I'm doing, I kind of wanted to share about how I set it up, some of the softwares behind it, because I've had a lot of questions by people in IRL asking, how did it work in the first place? And I wrote some of this down, but I felt like it would be a little bit easier if I just sat down for a minute and talked to everybody about it. Why is it on this channel for specific? Well, I decided to put it here because it is technically development related, and it kind of ties into the name of this channel that hasn't actually covered development in a very long time. So I decided, why don't we cover some development for once in a while? So if you didn't know, I ran a site called or Twitter account called Scanner Berkeley up in Berkeley, California. And the reason for this is because I went to school at the University of California, Berkeley. By the time this video comes out, I have graduated. Please do not try to find me or where I lived up here or whatever. I'm going to be gone by the time this comes out. Anyway, I ran this account, and what this did is it covered all of the different incidents by listening to police and fire radio throughout my 2 years. I graduated a year and a half early, so 2.5 years up in Berkeley. So this includes things like structure fires or road hazards or vehicle accidents, all this stuff. Pretty much how it worked is I would listen to the frequencies and then tweet out what's happening for informational purposes. If you've ever used the app Citizen in the US, that is pretty much what I did. I just call myself a more accurate citizen. I've communicated with different reporters. I've had stories written about stuff that I've covered. I've gone to scenes to get photos and give those back to the news and everything. So however you want to categorize it, independent reporter, freelancer, stringer, whatever you want to go and categorize it is kind of what I was doing. And I've received a lot of messages over the couple years, and a lot of thank yous and everything from the community members who have been directly impacted from information that I put out. Couple examples would be during a shots fired incident in Emeryville about a year and a half ago ish, maybe about a year now. There was a lot of freaking out and people running all over the place and everything. A lot of the people used my account and my systems. They were listening in, and they were able to tell where it was safe and where they were going, and kind of know that there was no active threat. It just turned out to be someone firing a gun into the air. So overall, it was one of the examples where that helped. And same things with stuff on campus where parents may be wondering what's happening with their kids. And, you know, Berkeley isn't the most safe location, especially recently. So with people getting robbed all the time and everything like that, it's good to know what's happening in your neighborhood. So anyway, I created these systems, and when I came back up here after last summer, I was like, can I expand this? I used to record the audio files and then add them up as a historical recording using Cloudflare, where you could go back in here from January to April 2023, and my computer ran like the whole month, just 24 hours. It had every single audio,
19, 12 can go 10,
every single dispatch unit, all of that. Throughout the whole month, throughout April, you can see there's a lot of them. We covered dispatch, secondary channels, tactical channels, all of that good stuff was available in a gigantic archive. And obviously, this isn't the best way to do it. There's no way to search. You can't cut. You got to go through the recordings manually, all of that stuff. So I was like, how can I improve this? How can I fix this? And what I ended up doing is I ended up using something called trunk recorder, because the frequencies that we use up here in Berkeley are a trunked system. It's a simulcast trunk system called the East Bay Regional Communication System. And what this does is it has different control channels and different listening channels. So unlike programming in a frequency like 455 megahertz 0.75, you don't do that. You actually program in the control channels and then the voice channels, and then you get the talk group ID. And if we look at the database channels here, you can see any of the ones that are in red here are the control channels, and all the rest of them are your just typical voice channels. So what it does is when a officer or dispatch want to key up, the control channel will then assign a voice channel for that transmission. And there's a lot. Most of the East Bay is over here, but if we go down to Berkeley, you can see that it uses a set number of frequencies. You got dispatch, secondary, anything with a TE is going to be encrypted. You can't listen to it. Don't even attempt to try to break that encryption. You won't do it, and you'll get yourself arrested. So you can only listen to stuff that is unencrypted. So anyway, I monitored these frequencies along with UC Berkeley and then the tactical channels for the fire department. And what I did is I created this cool little scanner system where you can select a talk group, and you're able to select what you want to listen to at a time. You can turn them all on or all off, or select your individual talk groups. And then anytime a transmission came through, you would be able to listen to it live here, just like you had a normal scanner on you. So you could toggle the feed on and off. You could hold the system on whatever system you're on. You could hold the talk group. You could avoid a certain one if you're hearing a lot of spam calls or anything. And then you could also search every transmission. Right now there's 235,000 transmissions since I started running this server. And you can just play back any of the last ones if they were saying anything. Pretty easy indeed. So I was like, cool, let's, I set this up, and then I was like, how can I expand upon this? This is running on a Raspberry Pi that was set up in my apartment with 3 different antennas and a bunch of programming into it. And I was like, why don't I try to do AI transcribing of what they're saying? And that's what I did. I went ahead and set up a system that allowed you to transcribe every single transmission that comes in. And it has done that. Now, I didn't build the underlying software of this. I would not spend or have the time to do that. So I used a couple open source programs. The first one, Trunk Recorder, to record the transmissions. I think it's RDIO scanner to play those transmissions, which is the thing I just showed you. Trunk Transcribe to go ahead and send this all to the database. And then Crime is Down, a very modified version of their website to display it here. If you don't know what Crime is Down, it is a site where it's based in Chicago, and they have a lot more here, but they have like a map, you could listen to the scanner, audio, all that good stuff. But they also have a transcript search thing here. So it doesn't seem to be running on their site right now, or this is just somehow broken on their side. But they had a lot more. So what I did is they are fully open source. They were totally okay with me using their system. So I went ahead and modified it and then changed it to kind of fit what we're doing. And I made it unpaywalled. Anybody in Berkeley could use this for free, even though it was costing me a lot of money per month. I decided to do it for the final couple months that I was in Berkeley. So pretty much what it does is you can search by talk group, see, and the transcriptions are not always 100% correct, but they are for the most part. You can kind of get an idea of what's happening. If we clear the filter, you can see there's so many transmissions, 100,000 in Berkeley, 38,000 in UC Berkeley, and then 4,000 on our tactical channels. And you could sort by the dispatch. And I even was able to sort by specific unit numbers for some of them. Mostly the fire department, their radio IDs don't change, but the police department changed radios every day. So I wasn't able to program those in, but at least you could tell who was dispatched. Dispatch audio never changes, so you could sort by who dispatches and talking and all of that. And all that good stuff. And then if you wanted to sort by the radio IDs, you can tell there is a lot of them. So you can see which units are talking the most, all of that good stuff. So anyway, I had that here. And this was a system that decent amount of people used. I mean, the radio itself over on this page was used about 2,500 times a month. This one was used probably about 1.5 thousand and a half per month, which is cool. I never thought it would get that much use. I thought it was going to be very easy, but that's kind of what it came down to. So in addition to all that, I also was able to public record request every single code that every single officer used, every single abbreviation, all of the officers for both departments, and then all of that good stuff. So anybody could find this information that they wanted. And then I also was able to get a bunch of public record requests and photos and videos from scenes in Berkeley, including a bunch of the recent officer involved shootings. So I put all those up publicly. Anybody can see them. It's completely transparent for them. And one of the best things before I go into talking about the technical side of this is I met a lot of people. I've met photographers, news agencies. I've worked alongside news agencies a lot. I've worked alongside a lot of the officers. They're really cool. They understand what I'm doing. They're like, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. As long as you don't get in their way or interfere, and I don't post tactical information on incidents or specific calls like domestic violence and stuff, I don't post those types of things. So as long as I have ethical considerations with it, they're not going to be having a problem. So like I said, we use Trunk Recorder, we use Trunk Transcribe, we use a modified version of Crime is Down. And then our hardware components is I used 3 SDR software-defined radio antennas. I put the links here. I'll leave this down in the description if you're interested. And a Raspberry Pi 4. There is a new Raspberry Pi 5, which has started, and you can use that if you want, if you can somehow get a handle on it. I have 2 of these, and they were like taking me a year to be able to get. So if you somehow have the connections to get a 5, you could do that. But they do recommend running this on more of a modern computer because the Pis really are underpowered and you don't have that many voice channels you can run on it. So For Berkeley, it was fine because these were the only channels I was monitoring. I was monitoring like 13 or 14. But for a channel where you have a lot more, or you want to monitor like a whole talk group, you're going to need a bigger server for that. And then I had notifications running, so I could see whenever there was like a structure fire or anything, I didn't have to listen 24 hours. I could have notifications with the transcribes. All right, let's get a little bit more into the technical side here. So everything that I used was open source. You could get Trunk Recorder, the scanner, the transcribe, and the Crime is Down website here. I'm not going to go over how to install this. This was very painful. It took me a long time to learn. But now that I have it installed, I know it's installed. So you can see there's a lot in here. It is updated over time, so if you have any problems with it, you can go ahead and log in and ask them about it. They're very very connected, and they have a Discord server, which is really useful, so make sure to check that out. Same with the scanner system, same with Trunk Transcribe. You can go over it. It tells you how you can use it for different notifications, and that also tells you how you can run the workers on a graphics card or something versus using OpenAI like I did and have to pay per month. So you can technically transcribe for free if you have an extra graphics card. And all of that good stuff. And then Crime is Down, you have their whole website here. There's no really good instructions on how to install it. It uses Docker. If you know Docker, you can go ahead and set it up. But what I did is to make things easier for all of you, I've set up 3 different open source things here. Trunk Recorder has my unit tags in them. So all of the unit tags that I have discovered are in here. My config files, what the channels are for Berkeley, so you can kind of get an idea of how you can set something like this up. The third one is handling all of the control channels and doesn't have any voice recorders. The other 2 are handling the voice recordings of the voice channels. And then you can see it's going to grab the talk group file, it's going to grab the unit files, and then it's going to upload to the scanner and upload to my custom transcribed script. And then I added that in here too. I got rid of all the API keys and the URLs, but you know, if you're interested in setting it up yourself, you can kind of get an idea. And then into talk groups is obviously the talk groups I had on that page earlier, which shows what I'm actually listening to on a daily basis. Under Trunk Transcribe, I left the configs for my notifications. What are the type of notifications I get? And I sent them over to Slack, and then I sent it over to a phone notification as well, if you're interested in looking over any of that. And then you can see I also left the whisper.py, which is my modified version of the prompt for OpenAI, which gives you a little bit more of a prompt on specific Berkeley related things. Obviously, if you're not in Berkeley, you can just kind of modify this to your own system. Then I left over my configure file with everything redacted. Obviously, you can change that to your needs when you have it set up. And then as Crime is Down, I left all of my modified web components. So this pretty much gets rid of everything but the transcribe page. So if you're interested in just having this transcribe page, you can now do that without having to figure out the rest of their system. So overall, that is kind of how I set this all up. I went over kind of what each one of these are and all of that good stuff, but I wanted to kind of share what I've been doing. It's a cool system. It transcribes a lot of stuff. It's very interesting. Has auto refresh, so you can see who's talking now, and then it refreshes once a minute, all that good stuff on here. It stores data in Amazon S3. You could also use a hard drive, but I ran out of space very quickly for that. So overall, the system cost quite a lot of money to run. It cost about probably $60-70 a month to run. Without transcriptions. With the transcriptions, it gets a lot higher than that. But overall, I found it worth it for the last 2 months here. It's gave me a lot of opportunities to work with news crews and everything else. So I thank for the opportunities that come to my way for that. But if you're interested in something like this, if you want questions about it, go ahead and message me down in the comments. I'm happy to talk about it. But I kind of want to just share that this is what I've been up to in IRL. And now that it's over and I've graduated, I don't know what the next step is, but it's something I still wanted to share. So thanks so much for sitting through this little bit of a spiel and showcase, and I'll leave it to the next video. See you next time, everybody. Goodbye.